Well, it's Easter Monday, early morning, and I have just woke up to this. I had so much planned for this weekend and I'm literally going to end up getting about 50% of it done. Absolutely gutted. I never saw this snow forecast. I was meant to be out today on the bank doing various things and unfortunately I can't do that. So I thought I'd rattle off a quick video for you before breakfast to catch up on some of the questions that you guys have asked, and also I've got the breaking news of a brand new feeder competition. Like I say, it's Easter Monday morning, got the day off work and I'm actually housebound. I can't get the van out because of the snow, so I just thought I'd take this opportunity to catch up on a few bits and bobs with you guys and obviously some media projects that I'm working on. I've got news coming up a little bit later on in the video just about a brand new feeder competition, yet another feeder competition. This one's different again, it's backed by Matrix, and that'll be coming up shortly straight after some of these questions that you guys have asked. I've just got 9 questions that have come in over the last couple of days. Some of them are regarding the Iberian Masters, so I just thought I'd go through these quick 9 questions with you, quick fire answers for you. I've also, like I said, got news of a new feeder competition that's coming up and a little bit of footage from where I was on Sunday. I've actually managed to get out with a couple of lads from the northwest and just got a little bit of footage from Southfield Reservoir. Okay, so first up is Jamie, do you always cast over the same shoulder? I talked about it before, I love going over my left shoulder. I learnt that with Dean Barlow 6 years ago. I learnt that for me personally, going over my left shoulder, I'm a lot more accurate. It just tightens everything up that way. I'm right-handed, it just locks everything up and I'm a lot more accurate. However, when the wind, for example, is blowing from the left to right, obviously that means, especially if I'm fishing with a long hook length, if I go over my left shoulder, it's going to be blowing the hook length across the rod as you bring it back, and that is obviously going to cause problems. Sometimes you can compensate for that by swinging the rod further over to the left, but sometimes when it's severe, I've got no other option but to go over my right shoulder, but my preference is my left shoulder. Were there any other options as regards getting to the Iberian Masters regarding the way that you travelled? Yes, there are 3 different ways that I actually know about. Obviously you could fly like I did. We flew into Alicante Airport, which meant that it was 90 odd mile drive from the airport, which is obviously not a big deal. Some of the lads actually drove, they drove all the way, so they went down through England to the south of England, through the Channel Tunnel, and then through France and into Spain. They drove that way. That distance is about, I think it's about 12 or 1300 miles one way. Obviously by doing that you've got the cost of diesel to do that. You've also got the cost of the toll roads if you're going to use the toll roads, which obviously that can add up to I think it was about another 150 euros, something like that, might even be a little bit more. The benefits of that obviously are you've got your own van and you've got all your kit, because you can just chuck everything in your van and take it with you. The other downside to that obviously is the time that it takes to get down there, so you might want to break that trip up into 2 bits. So you might want to have a stopover in France, for example. And that obviously means you've got to drive home after the competition as well, which if you've had a bad competition it's not always a great thing, but that's it. But that means that you get all your kit there with you, you've got your own van and everything. And the other way is you can drive to the south of England and get a ferry from there over to northern Spain, well, to Santander, and then I think it's about a 6 or 7 hour drive from Santander. The ferry crossing there I believe was about 22 hours, I think it was. But you can obviously break that up with a nice social side. Obviously that's a nice break from driving, and then you've only got a 6 or 7 hour drive from Santander to the actual venue. So there's 3 different options there for you. Do you think you can compete at Larford Lakes by fishing just a feeder? You know, it depends on the time of year. Obviously this time of year when it's cold, fish are obviously a lot more dormant, they're generally caught on the bottom, so the feeder can really, you know, come into play and really be a massive part of your game down there if you're fishing a general open match. On some of these waters as well, the fish are out in the open water, which means they're out of pole range and float waggler range anyway, so yeah, the feeder can be very, you know, dominant at this time of year. But obviously in summer the fish tend to be up in the water a lot of the time during the summer months, and obviously that lends itself more to pellet waggler and the pole fishing. The key at Larford is a lot of fish are caught at 5 and 6 metres. when the fish are swimming around. So, you know, if you are going to fish a feeder, just don't neglect that line. Simple as that. Same with the margins. If the fish are going to come into the margins and you want to fish a feeder, drop a feeder down there. But, you know, if you're talking about feeder fishing as regards to just chucking it out to 40 metres and sitting there, then you're not going to be able to compete like that, no. But more often than not, the feeder will frame in some, you know, some shape or form at Larford. What was the official name of the seat box you used at the Iberian Masters? F25, F for Foxtrot 25, simple as that. Why are so many court venues used for feeder events? The key with feeder events is the popularity. The popularity of feeder events means that you need a room for a number of anglers. Currently it tends to be capped at around 60 anglers, purely because it's the capacity of the venues that you need to look at. You know, if we had suitable venues like on Pierpoint, for example, people have talked about this so much recently, where we haven't really got a World Championship venue in England. I don't know what the statistics are for a World Championship venue. I think it used to be something like 200 unbroken pegs, and it had to have access behind each peg as well for a vehicle, and the minimum width used to be something like 35 or 40 metres. I think that used to be the criteria. I don't know if that's still the same, but it's basically because it's just purely down to the venues that are available. They've tried running feeder events on natural venues. Look at the first round or the first batch of venues for the Feeder Masters competition, for example. Prime example, some of those venues never sold out, you know, purely because the venues weren't favourable to the anglers that wanted to fish them. So inevitably those events didn't quite sell out. So as match organisers, they want their events to be popular, they want them to be sold out, so they have to move them to venues that people want to fish. It's a fine balance between the two, and unfortunately if it means that access, reliability of sport and just the general organisation of the competition means that it's got to be on a commercial type venue, then unfortunately that's where it's just going to continue. Where do you get your feeder links from? I've always made my own feeder links, always. You know, I know there are different places out there that make them. You can get them from different places. I know Dean Barlow makes his own, but there are other people out there making them. Some of the top name brand companies are making them as well. I have never used them, I've just always made my own. Is it possible you can do a video as regards the assessment of your draw at a match? Yeah, can do. I mean, everyone knows, well, hopefully everyone knows that I'm kind of probably a bit too optimistic sometimes about my peg. I hate to think I've drawn bad. I hate to think that, you know, there aren't fish in your peg that are going to allow you to frame or win a match. You know, unfortunately that is the case sometimes, but I'm a big believer that you've got to go to your peg very optimistic. You've got to believe the fish are there, and you know that will probably reflect in any sort of video I did like that. But yeah, I mean, I could do that in just a 2-minute slot. So yeah, I'll add that to the list. Is it possible you could do a comparison of the costs and different ways of travelling to the Iberian Masters? Yeah, I could do that. Like I said, I've only ever been once and I've only ever travelled there one way, so that's the only way that I know. I know how much it cost me to fly there with all the excess baggage and all that sort of stuff. I could probably find out how much it cost the other lads to A, drive down there through France, and B, the other way, that, you know, the lad that got the ferry. I could probably find that out, so I'll try and find out for you. I haven't got time to go investigating it on the internet, I just don't have time, but I'll ask the lad that did that and see if we can get some answers for you. And the last one on the list is, do you use different feeder rests for different occasions? I do. I mean, a lot of people have probably, obviously through the videos, there's 180 odd videos on this channel now, you've probably seen me using different rests in different occasions. I'm like anyone, you know, I'm constantly looking for bits of kit that are going to improve your fishing, and so over the course of time, several months, you might try different things, and you might see me in a video once and you'll not see me use that again because I wasn't happy with it, so I'll use a different one. The rest that I use, in fact, these are the two main rests that I use now, and you know, the eagle-eyed ones amongst you, I know spot these kind of things in the video. So the first one is that one. Probably seen me use that in Ireland. That's the one I use. That's the one that I use when, if I'm fishing with a rod on my knee and I'm speed fishing, or I'm expecting bites coming quickly, or if I'm trying to wind fish on, or I'm moving the bait and that sort of thing. Very active way of fishing, especially in Ireland. That is the rest that I use. The reason I use that is because it's nice and wide, so you can set your tip and set your rod at any stage on that rest. You know, I might start there and I might pull the feeder, or you might strike to hit a fish and you miss the bite, and rather than try and be inefficient and reel in and go back out again, that obviously takes time. So sometimes when you get good at it, it's easier with braid, is just to lift the rod up. If the fish is not on, On some occasions you can put the rod back down and you're going to get a second bite at the cherry, as it were, and sometimes you can do that 3 times if you get really good at it. That's why I use that sort of rest. And the other reason is there are no grooves on there either, so as you can imagine you're obviously putting your rod down, but underneath your rod you've got the line as well, as it's running from your reel to your first ring. Obviously if you add any sort of indentations in here or any grooves like that one, the line can get caught in there. With a rest like this, that just doesn't happen. It's not on your mind, and your mind is on your tip. The other occasions, and I use more often than not now, is that one, purely because it's got, you know, a couple of different purposes. The obvious one is you can just set your tip if you're putting the rod down and waiting for bites like you are this time of year, or you're sitting waiting for bream or carp or fishing a method. You can put that down there, and because of the grooves it means your line can run through there. So if you are tightening up to your feeder, you can leave the rod on the rest, the line runs through that groove and doesn't get caught and cause that jerkiness that you can get. And obviously there's lots of different positions on there that you can use. The reason why I like that again is because I can set that in that sort of position, for example, and sometimes if I put a short line in, I like to offset it. That means I can set the rod at a nice angle for that line that's slightly offset. That also then means that if I'm fishing a longer line, for example, that's straight in front of me, I personally like my rod further over to the left, so I've got more of a, not quite 90 degrees, but you've got a better angle in the tip. That means that I don't have to mess with this. I can simply, when I go on my long line, just put the rod further over to this side, which means I've got a nice angle on the line that's straight in front of me. And the obvious one is it's got that on it, and that means when you're fishing a method or you're fishing commercials or somewhere where bites are really powerful or strong, that obviously stops your rod going in. It should it get pulled along that rest on the bite. Very good for method feeder fishing, as you can imagine. So that is like it's a multi-purpose one, and the eagle-eyed ones that I know that watch the videos have spotted that I use that on nearly every occasion. So that's caught up on a few questions. The feeder competition I mentioned, I'm not going to go into too much depth about this, purely because this competition is nothing to do with this channel. I'm just bringing it to your attention now. It's only been announced this morning, so I'm bringing it to you nice and fresh. It's a 60 peg competition. It's going to be called, or it is called, the British Feeder Championship, and it's sponsored by Matrix. So the full title is the Matrix British Feeder Championship. I'm not going to go into too much detail on it because I can't answer every single question about how it's going to work, because it's been run by Matrix and it's backed and run by David Hull Publishing and Match Fishing Magazine. So for anybody interested in that, there's a nice little video, it's only about 2 minutes long, which outlines everything about the competition, how it's going to work, where it is, the date, and I'll put that on that link for you. So just click that link, that'll take you straight to the Facebook page and the video, and that'll just explain everything. Craig Butterfield's there and Joe Carras from Match Fishing Magazine, they'll explain all the ins and outs for you. Another exciting competition that's getting added to the calendar. Well, that's it. I'm going to go and get some breakfast. Just a quick video before breakfast, just to kind of fill you in on obviously the update on that brand new competition. The lads at Southfield did a fantastic job yesterday, so what I'm going to do is just play out with a little bit of a montage of that for you. Considering the conditions, the lads did absolutely immense. You know, it's been freezing cold, the wind was blowing really strong, and you know, there was so much tow on it. I haven't seen it tow like that for a long time, but they caught lots of fish. Here's a few little clips from that session. Enjoy the rest of your Easter Monday. Hopefully going back to work tomorrow is not too painful, but I mean, for most of you it's a 4-day week anyway, so let's just hope this weather is going to go away. It's doing our head in. Have a great week. If you like videos like this, please click like, please share, and please subscribe if you haven't done already. Loads more coming, and there's going to be a lot more videos coming through May as well, so keep your eyes peeled through April. We've got loads of featured content coming, and we're going to be upping the number of videos for you through May. So thanks for watching, really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a fantastic week. Well, it's been raining all morning, a little bit wet, a little bit clayey. A lot of you will recognise the venue. It's been freezing cold, it's wet, there's a wind on it, it's towing, as you can imagine. Scott's just gone back in on his third cast, he's into one.
10 minutes. Chris has just had 3 casts without worm. Guess what? He's into one.